beginning of the MC5, from when we were kids in high school, our first recorded songs in the studio, to our demise in 1972. You are probably listening to a live version of Tutti Frutti, and the sound quality is not as good as the record, but the equipment of the day was not up to snuff. Here in the year 2000, the equipment has exceeded the performance of the rock and roll bands. There's better technology out there than there are performers, if you ask me. So enjoy Tutti Frutti. And we also have Born Under a Bad Sign, which is a classic blues song. And these are songs that we had grown up on and played before we started to write our own material. We were influenced by Jimi Hendrix and The Who, the Rolling Stones and the Yardbirds, the Beatles, and the whole British wave. We were also influenced by John Coltrane, Archie Shepp, Pharoah Sanders. These are jazz musicians, great jazz musicians. And we were also influenced by the people that we would play with, the local people. And so our music was rather wide and rather deep, and we were fanatics about rehearsal, which I would advise to young musicians out there. The only way you're going to get good is if you put a lot of rehearsal time into your art. You don't get good by just sitting around thinking that you're good. You have to put the hard work into it to actually, when you finally go on stage, you know where all the notes are, you know where the changes are, you know how to get across to the audience. That takes time to do. And in the MC5, we had a chance to hone our music and to make it as powerful as we could. And we had a very flashy stage show, which we also choreographed and worked on. So we also had method acting lessons for 6 months. These things were necessary so that we could project what we wanted to project and be in control. Cut. I covered a lot of territory, Rick.
Gotcha.
Just as the MC5 were influenced by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix and The Who, the MC5 have become an influence on the young musicians of today, including Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins or the Pumpkin Smashers, whatever their name is. I would say, from what I know, is Monster Magnet. Quite a few groups. The list goes on. We've spoken to many of the people today, and the song "Kick Out the Jams" is available on other. There's 6 or 7 versions of "Kick Out the Jams" done by other groups, including the Blue Oyster Cult, Monster Magnet, Bad Brains, and the Presidents of the United States of America on their first album, of which "Lump" was the hit single about 2 summers ago in 1998, I believe. That was a #1 song in the USA, and that went triple platinum. You can hear a version of "Kick Out the Jams" on that, which they did a very good job of. It's one of the best ones, I believe. There are 2 or 3 books currently out there with some MC5 in there, and the history of the MC5. There's a history of punk by Legs McNeil and Jillian McCain, and there's a lot of dialogue from myself and Wayne Kramer talking about the history of rock and roll and punk music, etc. Alternative, actually. I don't like the word punk. Punk is a guy in jail who happens to roommate with Big Leroy, and I don't relate to that. The Stone Temple Pilots have just released a new record about 2 months ago, 3-4 months ago, say January, and they have a song called "The MC5" that they dedicated to us. And there's also a PhD, a gentleman that went to University of Michigan and wrote a treatise. His dissertation for his degree in sociology was on the MC5 in media and its influence on the thinking of people in the world, how the media can control consciousness. And there's also Cut. Let me see. You are cut. Take 2. Hey, honey, I feel like what's his face from Tool Time? The outtakes. Samo. currently cut. You're currently listening to Ramblin' Rose, one of the MC5's favorite songs, one of my favorite songs. I think my all-time favorite MC5 song would be Kick Out the Jams, and a song called Skunk, Sonically Speaking. That's a 8-minute piece with a full band, a full complement, horn section, etc., like Chicago, and it's really a great song. It just travels, and I sort of like play a drum solo underneath the whole thing, but in 4/4 time. It's a great song. I love it. I also like Over and Over, written by Fred Smith on the third album called High Time. This song was written by Ted Turner, a black blues artist, Ramblin' Rose, and this is our version of it. I hope you enjoy it. This song is called Borderline, and essentially it's about crossing borders and always walking the edge of the razor blade. The MC5 were razor blade walkers because we had everybody, we were under the microscope for 2 years. Our first record rose to number 29 in the national charts, and the single went to number 2 and number 1 in many cities in the Midwest. I had a hard time getting to number 1 because of the MF, Mother Superior, Kick Out the Jams, Mother Superior, and I'm keeping this R-rated, folks, because I prefer to do that. The reason we said the word MF was a rallying cry. It was not swearing for swearing's sake, and by the way, we were the first band to ever put one of the 7 words that George Carlin speaks about that you can't say on TV. We were the first band ever to say one of those words in liner notes and on a live record for the general populace. That got a lot of rack jobbers busted. Rack jobbers are people who put the record on the shelves, and they were getting busted for obscenity. So Jack Holtzman reneged, crossed the border, and made us go back in the studio, and we put in Kick Out the Jams, Brothers and Sisters. Now the band originally felt we were 3-2 on this as far as a Democratic vote was concerned. Two of us, namely Fred Smith and myself, decided it wouldn't be a good idea to put the MF on the record because it would cause exactly what it did cause. It would cause a problem with sales. It would cause a problem in the community. But we went ahead. We were overruled. We went out with our original version, which the people that came to see the MC5 play already knew what we were going to say there, so we could have left that blank, and we could have had the audience say it for us, which would have taken away all the problems for us, or we could have just said, Kick Out the Jams. So we could have said, and right now I'd be retired not doing this video. But I'm doing this video because I love to get the word out to the people. I haven't changed. Currently I'm in production and pre-production on my own CD, of which I don't want to say too much about it because it's a pretty good concept. It's a different concept than anyone's ever used before. It's an ongoing concept, and it dovetails into a book I've written, which is a roman à clef about the history and all those great stories of the MC5, all the shenanigans we pulled off and the people that we met, and a lot of great anecdotes. So I've written a book, and the title of that book is the title of my band, which I'm not at leisure, or I'm not at this point in time, I cannot divulge that because someone will steal it. It's too good. Cut. Let's go into borders, crossing borders, so you can. And then we'll go.
We're back up.
Speaking of crossing borders, back in I believe 1969 or 1970, the Beatles wrote a song called Revolution Number 9, which was the Beatles' response to the tumultuous times of the late 60s, the riots and the war, etc. Talking about if you want to, if you're carrying a card around saying that you're a member of the Red Guard with mayo, that you're not going to get any sex. It was their cynical little rich boy way of, that was their spin on the time. Crossing borders, borderline. Very funny that 2 years later, John Lennon and Yoko Ono would do a benefit for our manager, Mr. John Sinclair, who was busted for possession of 1 joint of marijuana, that they came to his aid by playing a large concert at the University of Michigan for his legal defense fund. So Yoko Ono had a I would say, a pretty powerful influence on John Lennon from the Beatles, in as much as John had come full circle across the border and realized that the MC5 were more right about the position that we took at that point in time in 1969, 1970 than the Beatles were. So times change and people do change. Zebras can change their stripes, people. And that's a word to the wise. You're